Jazzcast Pros.
We are coming up on the busiest time of the year, which is the summer. Between vacations we're taking, kids being off of our school, there is a lot that is demanded of our time. And I'm all about building a business that supports your life, not creating a life around your business. How we do that is with systems. Pristine has an order, and we get into that with our incredible guest today, Salina. We talk about building processes, whether you have no employees, it's just you, but maybe you want to outsource, or maybe you want to, again, create freedom. Maybe you are looking to hire your first employee or work with an agency to do some work for you, or maybe you do have 20 employees. Whatever part of business you are in, whatever season of business that you're in, this is going to be an impactful conversation for you. Welcome to High Vibe Table Talks, the podcast to help you, the cautiously ambitious woman, remove mental barriers and take action now so that you can achieve your high vibe desires. I'm Rashawn, your high vibe curator, cheerleader, and accountability partner. As a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur who recently quit my job to follow my dreams, I understand why you may be hesitant to throw caution to the wind and take that leap. And if you fall in love with Salina, which you definitely will, she's incredible. She also goes live on LinkedIn Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. EST. So check out this episode with Salina. It will help you build so much freedom into your business. And without further ado, welcome Salina Thompson to the table.
Thank you for having me, Rashawn. I'm so excited to be here.
I always like to start out the episode by sharing with the audience who you are, kind of where you are geographically, because we do have guests from all over, and then who do you serve?
I am in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I serve small business owners, so specifically the service-based business owners, and I've been doing this since 2018.
Awesome. And I love your tagline on LinkedIn. You help the helpers. And, you know, my community is very much full of heart-centered entrepreneurs who, you know, saw a hole in the market and said, I fixed that for myself. I want to help others. And it sounds like our mission and values are very aligned in helping those sorts of people. And so the topic that I really wanted to hone in on today is shifting from CEO dependent mindset to a systems dependent mindset. And when you said over that topic, I was like, this is gold. Like, this is so good. So tell me what a CEO dependent mindset is and versus a systems dependent mindset. What are the differences between those two things?
Awesome. Yes, this is a hot topic in the small business community, I feel like right now, especially with AI and all the tech tools coming out. But what I think that people should understand is that with the CEO dependent mindset, it's like the CEO is involved in every process, every core business process that happens, meaning that the CEO has to touch everything, whether it's sales, whether it's HR, whether it's finance, they're kind of have their hands in everything. So the CEO mindset, typically what I have seen is that they don't have a lot of back end automations. And if they do, when they do use systems, it's heavily manual. Right. So someone has to go in and touch it. And again, that typically is that CEO that has to go in and approve or touch things that could be automated. So the CEO mindset is just heavily dependent on them feeling like they're needed in the business. So a systems dependent mindset, I feel like that involves team collaboration. That has the team embedded, like it's in the culture. Okay, so there's like tech tools that they use, the CRMs, all those platforms and dashboards. They have automations, they have integrations. They're saving time. They're more productive. No one's working in silos, and everyone understands the vision and the goals and the objectives of the company. The systems dependent mindset, they have weekly team meetings, especially if they're virtual. Weekly team meetings when you have support staff is very important to keep the goals and the objectives of the company going, especially when there's multiple clients and you're trying to, reduce the churn. So you're needing those weekly meetings and those system dependent models to progress, right? To get to that level of scaling up to that next level. That's what I like to think about it.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest, like I know for myself, a big transition of going from employee to entrepreneur was like some days like I just want someone to come in and tell me what to do, but I have to make every single decision. And I think one of the traps, and it's not necessarily like our fault, but like when you're an entrepreneur, we are just figuring out as we go along. Like Reid Hoffman, who I listen to his podcast a lot, and he started LinkedIn. He's like, entrepreneurs jump off the cliff and build the plane as they're in free fall.
Right.
And so a lot of times you're just figuring it out. And it can be hard to create systems when you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So how do people create systems from that headspace when maybe they don't have a team yet? They don't necessarily know exactly what they're still kind of in that pivot and ideation phase of business building.
What I like to remind people is to start to document your business processes. Like I would at least have some documentation of your sales process. That customer journey is so important, and especially when you're trying to delegate to someone else. So just to start writing down the what, the when, the how, and the who. Even if the who is you, start writing that down, and then you can look for that improvement. Then you can look for those automations. So a simple flow chart in Canva and Lucid Chart. There's so many tools out there. Y'all already know, like AI, Google, they have you. Okay. So if you Google and find a flow chart, start putting in from beginning to end what you do on a daily basis. When it speaks about your sales process, when we're talking about marketing, onboarding a client, those things are going to get you going. So just writing down that process in a visual format, I feel like is golden. Because from there, you're able to pull out those bottlenecks, right? You're able to figure out what's taking you so much time. You're able to, okay, well, I've been writing this same email 5 times. Let's get a template. Let's just put it right there in Google or in Microsoft Outlook. Starting to write it down and having everything visual is, I feel like, the big piece. That's what you need first.
I love that you gave examples of other technologies we use every day. Like all small business owners use Canva or, use Google Docs. Like it doesn't have to be this like super intricate, expensive, complex system. It can be Canva.
Right. And that's free. A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Is free.
And so you said creating like a template for an email. And if someone were to come to you and say, well, but I like my emails to feel like authentic and organic and like using my voice, what would you say to them?
I would say to them to still create a template that speaks to that voice. Now, you can add in certain things in like parentheses, but what I have taught other small business owners is it's best to have a template. I know we like things to be organic and sweet and nice, and that's great. You want to still keep that same tone. You want to still keep that same cadence, but in order for you to really delegate and have someone else do that, you want to start with templates. So even if you train someone, right, to have the same cadence and tone as you, because I've had to do that. I've had to be the person to be like, I don't really like how you said this. I really like it to sound nicer, more professional. I don't like the tone. And I just switched around a couple of words. Right now you can use Chat GPT and write a nice template, but I would still keep a template on hand. You can make it as nice and pretty and add in the extras later, but have something basic that you can refer to. This saves you so much time and you can be working on other things.
Yeah. And do you really sound like your nice, sweet, or professional self when you're like so crammed with emails and just have to get them out? And so you're just like, or you're working crazy hours or you're like on vacation answering emails. Like you're probably not going to sound like your most professional self. But if you have a system, a template, then you're going to, because you're doing it from a different headspace when you're creating that template versus that hurried, rushed entrepreneur versus one of my things I'm leaning into is becoming the relaxed entrepreneur, which is why I think this is a great conversation. Speaking of like being a relaxed entrepreneur, how do you think systems impact someone who wants to build a business that supports their lifestyle versus, someone who has to be, like you said, that CEO? Even if you're a solopreneur, like there's a way for you to step away.
May sound a little bit repetitive. It does start with, of course, writing down your processes, but specifically with me and my team, we're going to have some one-on-ones. And it may feel like sometimes I feel like it's like a coaching, because those people are like, well, I'm used to doing it this way, and this is the way I like to do it, and I like this touch on it. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but you want to go over there, or you have to be at a conference. So let's figure out a way to still incorporate what you like about doing it and what we can automate or what we can hand over to someone else to do. I feel like having some sort of mindset around how you want your business to operate when you're not present is important as well, because you're setting the standard, right? You're setting the standard for how you want things to be when you're not able to actually touch everything. So with that, you're going to want to have some things written down that is important to you, that you want to make sure happens. So we're going to have some consultations. We're going to have some talks when it comes to me and my clients, because I really delve into, well, what's important to you on your personal side? Like, what do you need to do around this time? My kids get off the bus. I want to be there at the bus stop waiting for them. Okay, so what do you have to do during that time? So what's really important? If it's not a meeting and you're not needed, what needs to be done during this time? So we have really in-depth talks about what they want to happen, because people treat their business like their baby, like their child, so those people that you talk about, they're used to, being involved in everything, maybe like the parent that's like, don't fall, don't do this, or watch this. So I get it. I understand. So I'm there to help move you into that mindset of, okay, your baby needs to grow. It needs to grow, and you don't need to be there all the time. So let's figure out together how we can help it grow. And there are so many tools out there. We are bombarded with so many emails and CRMs, and they're everywhere. So we can make it work. I mean, right now is the perfect time to figure out how it can work for you. I feel like if you really have an idea and you've already written out how you want your company to run when you're not present, that's really important. You want to have that mindset as you're shifting over. You want to feel comfortable with hiring someone. Maybe go on Fiverr after you wrote down a couple of processes and see how you and that person can get together and help systemize your business. It really just starts with you moving and hiring one person. It starts with that, because that starts to get your mindset like, oh my God, they need this. I'm the person that's stopping this. I'm the bottleneck. So yeah, you are the bottleneck. Now you need to make sure that you figure out so you're not, right?
Right. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem.
Yes. A lot of them, they realize that. They understand that. If you're that person that's really trying to get your mindset into hiring someone on Fiverr, Upwork, or something like that, then write a vision of how you want your business to run when you're not there. Like, what do you see? What do you want in the next year or two? How many do you want to go with your kids on those vacations? Do you want to plan to be at the spa? I think I just did a post about this. Like, it was relaxing to go to the spa. I've never been to the spa. It was great. And I was able to do that because I did plan and take the time to systemize and automate a lot of things in my business so I could step away. That is so important, especially us as moms. I'm a mom of two. Like, you need to take time away from the business. Again, it is like your baby, and you have to let it grow up. You have to let it get big.
That's so good. That's so good. Thank you for sharing that. And what I talk about a lot with other entrepreneurs is that Building a business, being an entrepreneur is such a confronting experience. And it's like the fast-paced course to like self-growth and like working on yourself. And to be reflective and be like, where am I being the problem? Where am I not allowing things to like let go? And the practice of like decoupling my identity with my business is so important, and it's not easy. And to not feel like I have to be in my business all of the time, I can go to the spot and things will work out and things will flow the way that they're supposed to. And some of it I think is like, I started my business like from the ground up. So if I'm not there, what does that say about me? And that can be a very confronting question to ask.
Yeah. And I hear that a lot. I get it. You started it. You've been doing it for 10 plus years. I understand. I've worked with someone who was in business for 20 years and his sales team was just not where it should be. And they didn't even have any training documents. So of course my skin was itching because I was like, oh my God. So we got to get your sales up. We got to get a process going. We need to systemize this. Mm-hmm. So I understand. But when someone from the outside, comes in and explains some things, I feel like you said, that's like, oh my gosh, like clarity is there. Everything becomes clear. Like, yes, you're right. I do that. It does take 30 minutes. It does take an hour. I should be over there. So having someone from the outside look in is helpful because they're able to see probably what you weren't able to see because you're already in it.
Right. A lot of these things can be done when you're the only one, systems, creating culture, thinking about what you want your future business to look like. Those are all things that can be done when you don't have a team, when you haven't hired. Maybe you haven't even started thinking about hiring yet. Maybe you do have 2 people on your team, or you are working with, you're outsourcing. Like for me, I outsource my podcasting post-production. While I don't necessarily like, she's not on my team, but I still like, she's part of my weekly process. All the way to if you've been in business for 20 years, like there is no wrong time to implement this sort of mentality, mindset, approach into your business, no matter where you are. But you just have to take the first step.
Right. I agree. Yes, I totally agree.
Part of your strength and skill set, and I love that you've brought this up, is CRM and sales. I did an episode a couple weeks ago about CRMs, where to start. And in my opinion, your CRM should be like your Bible as you're growing your business in sales and processes. So what are some tips you have for people who may just be starting out with a CRM, that they maybe got into business to help people, like helping the helpers, like you said, and sales isn't their strong suit?
Okay. So I recently read The Contrarian Salesperson, and I feel like I'm that person. Like I don't consider myself a salesperson. I've been in sales positions, but that email that sounds salesy, I get it. I understand. Like that can be a thing when you are creating your CRM and, writing down your sales process and that email campaign. So I highly recommend you guys read The Contrarian Salesperson. That has helped me. That book was literally about a salesperson that thought that they were doing so well, but they really needed to refine their process. And it started with coaching and writing down their sales process. Once again, writing it down and figuring out language and the gaps. Because when we think of sales, first of all, when I think of sales, I already just like scam, hang up. Everyone thinks of sales like that, right? So you want to like get your mindset around like as far as what you prefer when you speak to someone in sales. What made you stop when you clicked on that email? We get a lot of emails every day. So what made you stop? What did they do? Or what do you think they did on the back end to make sure that you clicked there and then you were directed to another website or to their event? I would start to think about those things when it comes to you creating that process in your CRM. And, it may feel a little bit weird and daunting. Like, I don't even think this sounds like me. Yes, it is. It is you. You're talking about what you prefer and what you think that you would like. So I know it's like, oh, well, what would your target audience? Yes, your target audience is important too. I feel like that should click there. But when we are bombarded with so many emails, that's how I started. Like, I literally went through all my emails and found the ones that I clicked on before. And I was finding the reasons why I decided to click on that particular email. So start with yourself. Start with reading some books about sales. I feel like that helps. The Contrarian Salesperson was my go-to. I also took a class, and I also was thinking about like hiring someone that actually specializes in sales. One thing about me, I'm all about letting people work in their uniqueness. What makes them like tick. If someone is like, they love to talk, they are super interested in helping other people, and they have that, the gift of the gab is what they used to say. You can go ahead and get that person, hire that person to help you, or just get some tips, maybe do an hour. You don't need to, exhaust your funds, but at least find the resources that's going to help you with your sales process. We are in an age of information is everywhere. And if you really want to make money, if you really want to be in that business, you're going to have to learn sales, sweetie. Like you're going to have to do it. I had to take classes on it. I had to read these books. So I had to find out what was going on in my sales process, all the intricacies and the touch points that I preferred. There are low end touch points with customers, and there are high end touch points with customers. The low end, I believe that it's typically like you're not involved. It's something that can be automated, like the Autobot or a chatbot. But, the high end is more of like the manual part. Someone's actually speaking to them and having a conversation like a human. So you have to think about those processes when you're trying to systemize it in your CRM, when you're trying to create a campaign. And I've been there. I've done it. And it was daunting. I felt like I wasn't talking like myself, but then I realized, hey, this is you talking like yourself. This is what you would have clicked on if you were the person on the other end, if you were the user. And you want to represent your company in the most, professional, favorable way that speaks to your brand. So think about these things. And sales is business. If you're a small business, you need to make sales.
Mm-hmm. I started that episode with, if you don't have sales, you don't have a business. And people don't like to hear that, but it's so true. It's so true. And also, I mean, you gave great examples. Like, people are like, oh, well, sales is icky. And I want to be like, how much have you purchased over the last week? Like, you have been sold to over the past week. But we have so much data to pull from just in our inbox of what made you stop? What made you pause? That was so juicy. That was so good. And I always like to end with lightning round questions. So, Salina, are you ready for those?
I'm ready.
Awesome. What is a must-read book?
Okay, the most read book is Traction by Gino Wickman and The Contrarian Salesperson by, I believe it's Jody Williamson.
What does creativity mean to you?
I guess being my authentic self.
I love what you said earlier about you love having people operate in their uniqueness. I think that is very aligned with creativity, and I really liked that. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is do it even when you're afraid. I was afraid to do speaking engagements. I was afraid of sales. I was afraid of hiring someone. I was afraid to delegate. Do it even when you're afraid.
Mm-hmm. Really good. I think that so many people see entrepreneurs and are like, well, they just do it. They're not afraid. And it's like, we are afraid every day. Every single day. Yes.
Every day, girl.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What is something that is on your bucket list?
To go to Ghana. I want to go to Ghana, Africa, and just go to the beach. I think it's lovely there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Awesome. Well, we're manifesting it with you.
Yes.
What is the coolest shit you've done in the last year or are currently working on?
As far as cool, I actually have a whole nother business.
Oh, tell us more.
So I have another business. It's called savvyfitness.co. I'm all about empowering people. As you know, I help the helpers. So that's about empowering moms to go back to the gym or work out at home, but just to start to get physical and become physically active. I actually lost about 60 pounds some years ago and have just stayed consistent with the gym. And I decided to dedicate a whole fitness page and drop shipping all that with savvyfitness.co. So I specialize in just a lot of it is active wear, but mostly it's like, I'm going to work out with you. So I'm up every morning at 4 a.m. at the gym. Been doing it for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a whole nother business.
Congratulations. That's amazing. I wish that you were in Rochester because I feel like you'd be a really cool like gym partner to have.
Oh yeah. It's fun. I love it. I
Awesome.
really do.
Good. I'm sure people are going to just fall in love with and want to hear more from you. Your LinkedIn Lives are great. I did listen to some of yours when you talked about the Sales Contrarian book. So where do you show up most often? Where do you want people to find you when they hear from you on this episode?
Awesome. Yes, you guys can find me on Instagram, Savvy Empire Consulting, on LinkedIn, Salina Thompson. Savvy Empire Consulting is my business there. It's attached. On TikTok, Savvy_Empire. YouTube, Savvy Empire Consulting. You can find me anywhere with just Savvy Empire Consulting. My website is savvyempireconsulting.com. So please, you guys, come show me some support. I'd love to see you guys.
Awesome.
Come find me.
And thankfully, Salina also is giving us a huge discount on her ebook. So if you want the discount code, which will be available until Mother's Day, and her ebook is Grow the Savvy Way, make sure you check out the show notes. We'll have all of that. Until next time, remember that big dreams and small steps will transform your life.